is my review of the Byrds album Untitled. It was released in 1970. The live portion was produced by Jim Dixon and the studio part by Terry Melcher. So this album, I got this vinyl copy on eBay, I think like 2 years ago. And originally I got this CD version, which has a bonus disc with a bunch of extra stuff. So yeah, this is their double album. One half of it's live, the other half is studio. There's one lineup change for this album. John York is out as the bass player, and Skip Batten comes in to replace him. And a lot of people really have a problem with Skip Batten because of his songs. And he starts bringing songs to this album. I don't hate his songs as much as everybody else. Definitely when I first started listening to these latter Byrds albums, they were kind of an issue with me, and there's still a few that I'm not that fond of. But I think that he brings some of his strongest stuff to this album in particular. So yeah, this album I think was kind of like the biggest, I want to say like maybe the biggest hit for this lineup of the band. I think it's a really strong album. When I first got it, I used to listen to the live part a lot. I would kind of skip around the studio part. There were certain songs that I wasn't into back then. But my opinion of this album's really rose, especially on the studio portion of the album. I really like now, and I don't really think that there's a bad song on it. So for the live part of the album starts with Lover of the Bayou, which is a song by Roger McGuinn and Jacques Levy. So Roger, I guess, was writing this, I guess it was supposed to be like a Broadway play with Jacques Levy, and it was called Gene Trip. I think it was supposed to be like kind of based on like a Peer Gynt type thing. And it never really like happened, but a lot of the songs that he wrote for it end up on these latter Byrds albums, and I think they're really like some of the strongest stuff he ever wrote. Which, I mean, I think Roger wasn't a super like prolific songwriter, definitely, but I think he is a little bit underrated when he does write stuff, because I think he does bring some really strong material in, especially like I said, all the stuff for this play or whatever he was writing with Jacques Levy really stands out. Really like this track as an opener. Definitely kind of rocks pretty hard for the Byrds. Just a really strong opening track. And it's kind of weird that they put it on the live side, I guess, because it's a completely new song that they haven't done in the studio. Well, they did do a version in the studio that I'll talk about later, but they didn't put that out on anything, so I don't know, kind of strange that they just did this live. Second track, Positively 4th Street, Dylan cover. Not my favorite Dylan cover by them, but I enjoy it. And it's kind of cool that they only did it on this live side, and there's not like a studio version. It's got some cool guitar in it. Pretty good cover. Then they do a version of Nashville West, which I like better than the studio version. After that, So You Want to Be a Rock and Roll Star and Mr. Tambourine Man, which both pretty good versions, but they obviously sound a lot different with this version of the band than they did with the original. Next is Mr. Spaceman, which I don't dislike the song or anything, but more than like any other Byrds song, this is the one that I just like never really need to hear again. Like, I've got it memorized, and I just don't need to hear it anymore. But not bad. Then the live half closes with 8 Miles High, which I feel like is the most controversial track on here. I'm pretty sure last time I reviewed this, I probably like really tore into this one. And it's still like, it's not my favorite thing on here. I do think it has some really cool stuff on it. Like, it's every now and then I like listening to it. I mean, obviously it's got some really good guitar from Clarence, because pretty much everything he's on is great. I kind of like the bass solo on it really, and like the bass drum part. My biggest problem with this song is like if they're gonna do this and drag out 8 Miles High for this long and stuff, like they really could have sung more than just one little tiny part of it. Like just, you know, if you're gonna turn the song into a giant like jam, that's fine, but come on, just sing a little bit more of it. Don't just do like one thing and then quit. That's the most annoying part about it, because when they come in with the vocals, it's like, yes, finally, and then they just do that one line, and it's like, all right, well that was annoying. So yeah, 8 Miles High, not my favorite thing on the live section, but it doesn't like kill that part for me. The part of the album is the part that I really prefer. It opens with Chestnut Mare, another McGuinn Levy song. It was for their play, and I think it's a great opening track. Just a great song where the whole band's playing on this is great. Just so many cool different guitar parts from Clarence and McGuinn. I love Gene Parsons' drumming on it. McGuinn gives a really strong vocal. I even like, some people don't like the kind of talking bits that he does in it for like the story or whatever, but I think it just fits in really well, and the whole thing just flows really great. And one of my favorite songs from these like later era Byrds, the 9th track, Truck Stop Girl, is a cover sung by Clarence. For me, it's a real highlight of the album. I really like Clarence's vocal on it a lot. So I just think it's a really catchy song as well. And at the end, they kind of go off on this little guitar solo that's, I think, is really cool. So another highlight for me. 10th track, All the Things, another McGuinn Levy track. This one I think is also really strong. It's a catchy song, good performance from the band. Apparently, Graham Parsons might be singing backup on this song, like during the choruses at least, but you really can't hear him. But like a lot of the stuff says he was there apparently, but if he was, like, I can't really hear him. Yeah, the 11th track, Yesterday's Train. This one's written by Gene Parsons and Skip Batten, and I think it's a cool song. It's kind of a like slow, chill song. I guess Skip Batten was into Buddhism, so it's about like reincarnation. I like it a lot. Kind of makes me wish that those two had written more songs together. Maybe Skip should have written with him more instead of Kim Foley. But yeah, I don't know. It's a cool track. It's got some pedal steel from Sneaky Pete on there, which is always cool. And I really like Gene Parsons' vocal on it. I think that it's my favorite vocal that he does as a member of the Byrds. Really good lead vocal from him. Then the 12th track, Hungry Planet. This one's by Batten, Foley, and McGuinn. So the first kind of the Batten Foley writing team rears its head finally. And this one took me kind of a while to get into. It's kind of a weird song. The vocal for McGuinn's really weird on it, but I think he's doing one of his like character like acting things, I feel like, on it, trying to sound like a Hungry Planet, whatever that sounds like. So I feel like his vocal took me a while to get into, but I like it now. It's got a really cool guitar intro from Clarence on it. But yeah, it's I really like what the band's playing on this song. I think it's got some really cool things going on like that. And not one of my favorites, but I think it's a really strong track. The 13th track, Just a Season, another McGuinn Levy one, and this is my favorite track by far on the album. Not one that I was really into initially. I kind of got into this like a few years after I had the album. It's kind of the most like classic Byrds sounding track on here, I guess, because it's the one where the 12-string makes its most like apparent appearance with some of the parts. So yeah, it's got that older Byrds jangle, which it gets kind of lost in these latter albums. But just got a really great vocal from McGuinn. It's a really catchy song. Really cool guitar stuff, like the solo, and it's just really cool because it's just like they're both like playing different things, and it just sounds awesome. But yeah, just a really great song. Kind of surprised it's not like bigger, honestly. The 14th track, Take a Whiff on Me, Lead Belly cover sung by Clarence. This one also took me a long time to kind of appreciate, just because it's kind of repetitive, and I don't love when stuff's like super repetitive. But I really like Clarence's vocal on it. It's got some cool acoustic guitar stuff, and it really just kind of grew on me over the years. I think it's really catchy now. So like that one a lot. 15th track, You All Look Alike. Bat and Foley track, sung by McGuinn. Probably for me like the weakest song on the studio section of the album. I don't really dislike it or anything, just another one where the chorus is kind of repetitive, but I think it's got some cool instrumental stuff going on. It's got some cool mandolin from Clarence, I think, and I like Batten's bass on it. Then the 16th and final track, We'll Come Back Home. This one is by Batten by himself, and he sings lead on it. He probably had like my least favorite voice out of the Byrds, or all the ones that sing at least, like tone wise. I don't know. He's got kind of a strange voice where I want to say I can't remember how old the internet said he was when I was looking at this or looking up the stuff for this album, but I know he was quite a bit older than like the rest of the band. But his voice like kind of sounds really old to me. Like he has this kind of like, I don't know, like old man tone to his singing voice that I'm not always crazy about. Like I don't really hate his voice or anything, but it's kind of hit and miss in parts of the song for me. So this isn't my favorite lead vocal by him from the band, and but it's, I don't know, it's like it's just a weird vocal. Like I like it in places, and other places I'm like but that kind of just sums up how I feel about his voice on most of the songs. But I do like the song overall. I think it's kind of a weird sounding song. Got some really cool instrumental stuff going on though, I feel like, and it's pretty long because it goes out on this like Buddhist chant kind of section, which I think a lot of people don't like, but I think it sounds kind of cool and is a cool way to end the album. So strong closing track. Like I said, there's the CD version. This has a ton of bonus tracks. Really though, most of them are, there's an alternate version of All the Things, an alternate version of Yesterday's Train, the studio version of Lover of the Bayou, which is cool, an alternate version of Kathleen's Song, which is the song off of Burp Maniacs, the next album, which I like the version on that a lot better, which I hear a lot of people like this version better, but I don't. There's an instrumental, White's Lightning, which is pretty cool. The track Willin' that's sung by Gene Parsons, that's kind of, I don't know, it's not bad, but not something that I get the urge to go listen to a lot. And then there's a bunch of live tracks, You Ain't Going Nowhere, Old Blue, It's Alright Ma, I'm Only Bleeding, which I don't think they ever did anywhere else. Ballad of Easy Rider, My Back Pages, Take a Whiff on Me, Jesus is Just Alright, and This Wheel's on Fire. So, really like all the live stuff is good, and I enjoy listening to it, but I don't listen to that particular disc a lot. As far as the album goes, like altogether, I really like the studio section a lot more than the live part, but the live part's good. I think as far as it stacks up against their other live albums, since especially like if you just have the original version of the album without all the extra tracks, it's a lot shorter. You don't get like a full concert, but I think it's like the best sounding live stuff that they have. It just sounds a little bit better. I don't know if it's better recorded or just better like produced than the other live albums they put out. The studio part of the album I think is really strong. I don't think there's a bad song on it, and it's probably like the strongest studio thing that this later era of the band put out, I feel like. But then again, I really like these later period albums a lot more than most people. Like, I don't think they're nearly as bad as what everybody says. I think it's just like, it's a completely different band, so you're not going to get anything sounding like the original Byrds, really. So that's the kind of mindset you really have to go into with these later albums. And they also lean kind of more on the country side of things, whereas like the original band the original band had a little bit of country stuff that they bring in, but they lean a little bit into the psychedelic stuff, I feel like, more. But yeah, really, really strong album. Probably the best of these later Byrds albums.